Welcome, dear friends, to Cardiac Radio at 11 p.m., nourishing our souls with the Spirit of Truth. The Spirit of Truth is this book, published in 1961 in Brazil, through the mediums Chico Xavier and Waldo Vieira, and several spirit authors, including Luiz, comes to us to recap messages that are published in the Gospel According to Spiritism by Kardec and extended to our daily lives. You and I are now receiving, you and I are receiving firsthand the very first translation of this book. It's not published in paper yet, but it's here released to you. Why do we need it? During this pandemic, we can no longer wait for the truth because more than ever we need it, and especially nowadays when many people are feeling angry, anxious, they are feeling all sorts of negative emotions. Today, André Luiz, the spirit doctor, comes to us to help us domesticate our negative emotions, especially anger. In a form of anger that is more dramatic, we call it wrath. We need to pay attention to that. You know, when you turn on the news and you are upset about what people are saying, or you go to your social media and you're upset about what people are saying about politicians or the very politicians themselves, or people are talking about vaccinations and pro and against it, and then we become so enraged. Today, Spiritism comes through André Luiz, Waldo Vieira, and Chico Xavier to tell us about how important it is to tame this impulse of anger. Where are you regarding anger? Where are you? Did you know that anger can be a test as well? Scientifically, we know that anger is a response of defense. Yes, it is true. It happens in animals, it happens in humans. When you're feeling threatened, you activate the sympathetic system, which is ready to prepare us for fight or flight, to run away or to combat. And there comes anger. The problem is when we are not in survival moment in that regard, and anger comes when we're watching TV, when we're talking to somebody. Do you feel that? We need to tame it. It's anger management? Yes. Who doesn't need anger management on earth? Everyone does. It's that feeling inside of us, oh, that person is getting on my nerves. And we say, no, no, no. You are allowing your nerves to be pushed on. You are not doomed to people's doings and deeds. But Vanessa, they are doing wrong. Are you justice maker? Let's go to the book Action and Reaction by André Luiz through Chico Xavier. He talks about in the first chapters a school of avengers that happens in the spiritual realm. People who feel they need to make justice with their own hands, those spirits exist. And sometimes we on earth are connecting with them vibratorily. When we feel that we need to make justice with our hands, that we need to do it, or else, even in Spiritism, unfortunately, there are people who feel that they are the ones who have the mission to put everything in order in the Spiritist movement. Who are we, friends? Who are we? First, to judge. Remember criticism with André Luiz? Yesterday. Think. then help. And then also consider our humility. Who are we? Do we really know the truth to understand the whole scenario? So we need to reframe the scenarios, the stimuli that come to us and trigger that point. Behind our threatened ego, there is an ego. There's pride. Or we wouldn't feel threatened. Do you know who I am? Ego. Andre Luiz, in this message, he is inspired in a particular message that I'm particularly fond of in the Gospel According to Spiritism by Kardec, chapter 9. Blessed are the meek and peacemakers. We've been talking about it here. Am I a peacemaker? Am I connecting to the School of Avengers in my daily life when I feel that I am entitled to judging and changing people, sometimes in our families, relatives? Chapter 9, blessed are the meek and peace-loving or peacemakers. There is an item 10 written by Henneman. I love it because I feel that homeopathy is really the way to go. All the superior spirits, Bezerra de Menezes, Professor Eurípides Barçanufo, and others have been prescribing homeopathy in spiritist centers since the beginning of the 20th century. You and I are being asked to consider our true medicine. Henneman, the father of homeopathy, is one of the spirits that was assigned by Jesus to bring spiritism to the earth. So, parenthesis here. If you don't know of homeopathy, it's a good thing to do. Get to know of it because it treats us at our essence, not the symptoms, and it helps. I particularly am allowed by the good spirits here, especially Mentor Joseph at Kardec Radio, to share with you. When I was 7 years old, living in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, I had pneumonia 5 times in a row in 1 year, to the point that I couldn't go to school. The doctors were prescribing steroids all the time, shots every day. At some point, somebody came and told my mother about a homeopathic doctor. My mother talked to the traditional doctor and asked, "What do you think?" And he said, "Well, we have nothing else to do with Vanessa. Try anything." We were at the doctor's office, the homeopathic doctor. For those who claim that it's placebo effect, impossible. I was just 7. I didn't even know what was happening. Started taking medication in very few months. I recovered and here I am, 41 years later, thanks to homeopathy. Thanks to the good spirits. Thanks to the spiritual treatments in the Spiritist Center, but certainly homeopathy. I share the story with you because nowadays, with the pandemic, with certain disorders showing up because of our anxiety, depression, etc., find a holistic way of treating yourself. Don't treat symptoms. Let us treat the root. because then we increase the quality of our lives. No side effects. Hahnemann, and we are very grateful to him. In 1863, through the mediums at Kardec's time, comes and says that the body does not cause anger in persons who do not already have it, just as it does not cause the other vices. All virtues and all vices are inherent to the spirit. Otherwise, where would be the merit and responsibility? My fellow spiritists, does experience not show you how far the power of will can go in light of the truly miraculous transformations that you see happening? So tell yourselves that humans do not remain vice prone unless they want to remain vice prone. Those who want to correct themselves always can. Otherwise, there would be no law of progress for human beings. This is just an excerpt. You can read it more. Chapter 9, item 10 of the Gospel According to Spiritism. So, Hahnemann, the father of homeopathy, knowing us very deeply, he comes and inspires us to look at ourselves deep within. And now the message by André Luiz, talking about something even beyond anger, graver than anger, wrath. Cholera, he says, wrath has 10 complex negatives that induce the best of individuals to worst of frustrations. So when we feel angry and we feel like, now I'm gonna write something, and now I'm gonna say something, now I'm gonna do something. How many times did I do it? Many. What's the result? Terrible. It didn't help. I'm gonna tell that person. I'm gonna do this. He says, number one, wrath does not solve anything. Actually, it aggravates, he says. Is that true? Super true. Your partner does something you don't like, and then you go there and say, why did you do this? And then you expect that the other one's going to be a saint looking at you and say, oh, my dear. Sometimes they're going to come even worse. To the boss, to the colleague at work, to the relative, to whomever. Emotional management is teaching us, all of us, to tone it down. We are not justice makers. We're not the avengers. We don't make justice with our hands. People think that making justice with our hands is going there and killing somebody else. No, no, no. It's like that, to say whatever we think just because they did something wrong. Wait, think, help. And what if it's not everything? Wrath, number 2, does not rescue anything or anyone. It actually complicates. It does not illuminate. It actually brings darkness. It does not reunite people. Wrath does not bring people together. Look at January 6th at the Capitol. That anger, that wrath, destruction, death, division, separation. Wrath does not help, it harms. How many people kill others under anger, under wrath? It does not balance. It misfits. It does not comfort. It poisons. It's dangerous to eat while you're angry. Also because the parasympathetic system, the relaxation system is not in place. What happens when we are feeling threatened? Our digestive system shuts down. It shuts down because it's time to fight or to run away, flight. So when we eat in anger, we are damaging our very physical body. So don't eat. Feeling angry, go away. Do something, but don't eat. It's going to get worse. And then we have reflux diseases, digestive, gastrointestinal diseases in general. Did you know that chakra wise, when we talk about vital centers, if you read chapter 2 of the book Evolution into Worlds or watch Cardiac Radio's program on it that we have in our playlist, Facebook page and YouTube page of Cardiac Radio, we're going to see that when our vital centers are operating in harmony, we process denser energies in our lower chakras. So Andre Luiz is going to tell us that when we are processing too much around and attuning with negativity, we start having gastrointestinal disorders. But our emotions are the magnet. Anger attracts angry spirits. So we need to teach our children when they are doing this and in the other, and you say, what kind of spirits are you attracting when you feel this way? We need to ask them. Instead of saying, stop doing this, what do you think? What kind of spirits do you think we are attracting when you say that? They start saying potty things, potty words. What kind of spirits are we attracting when we say that? It may sound funny, but superior spirits are not going to be around us when we say those things, right? And if superior spirits are not with us, what does that mean? Inferior spirits are with us. There's no neutral thing. I'm just talking to this person on the phone. But do you think a spirit would be here with you? Well, I don't think so because we're just talking nonsense or gossiping or talking about others. What kind of spirits will be there? And you think that because we change, they go away? See, they stay around. They stick around and they want us back on their track. And that's when it's hard to change our habits because we're not alone. Anger or wrath does not favor anybody. It makes everything difficult. It doesn't bring any benefit. It does not bless anything. It curses, he says. It does not build, it destroys. Avoid wrath as if escaping a destructive contact with high voltage. It's as if you're gonna receive a shock, and it could be fatal. It could be fatal. How many accounts of people who got angry in traffic and killed somebody or got killed? What kind of energy are we attracting? But if you wake up in a bad mood, before the scourge installs itself completely in your head and in your voice, start the day begging to the divine goodness, the providential help of a throat, a sore throat, laryngitis, sore throat. See, sore throat is also, if you go to psychosomatics, it's about when we're swallowing anger that we don't put out. Sometimes it's better to have this sore throat than to create more damage by saying this, doing that in anger, in wrath. Nowadays, people go to social media. And I read sometimes the comments. Mentor Joseph says, read the comments people say. Not a cardiac radio because people are super nice here. We're all together in this. We're talking about posts in the newspapers that said, if you say anything, people start like, who are you? And they start saying words. And And I'm like, oh my gosh. Where's our civility here? Sometimes people claim to be Christians, Christ conscious, spiritual. I make mistakes too. But today, Mamiya, you and I are being invited to a super duper exercise of the heart, of our emotions. In the book Jesus in the Home, Jesus tells us a lesson of the 4 tests, and he says that the most difficult test is anger. But if we pass the test of anger, we're going to fly high. Look at Jesus. He never got angry. Oh, but Vanessa, what about the market? He was firm, not angry. Reading the Genesis by Kardec. Kardec addresses it there when he expels the merchants from the temple. Now, look at Stephen in the book Paul and Stephen. He passed the test of anger. His father does something wrong. He is arrested, and the daughter, the whole family, he's not angry. Abigail asks, are you angry with that? No. The father is cruelly killed in front of him while he's being punished too. He's sent to slavery. Is he angry? No. Man, is he alive? Yes, he is alive. He's living. He's meek. Blessed are the meek and peacemakers. You see how much we have to learn? Don't you love it? This is the school of life on earth. Today, our lesson for the next 24 hours is to practice this mildness, is to avoid anger. But how? You're going to ask, how do I do it? How? We need to reframe the stimulus. Thinking, who am I to make justice with my hands? Who am I to tell my partner he has to do this or not? Or my daughter, who am I? I'm a child of God, like they are. God allows them to do it. It doesn't mean I'm going to agree, but I'm going to practice justice, respecting people's rights, even the right of making a mistake, like Judas. Huge mistake, the worst of them all. It takes humility inside of us to tame that anger that generates wrath. You want to do the exercise? It's a day of peacemaking. Let's say it this way. From now to tomorrow at 11 p.m., you and I will propose ourselves to practice meekness, to practice peacemaking skills by avoiding anger, not repressing, but managing it, taming anger and wrath by looking at the scenario and reframing it. Always thinking of God and saying, if God allows this, who am I? Who am I not to do something else? If you're thinking of scenarios where you have to help society, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about scenarios in which people have the right to make their choices. They can say whatever politician they like. They can say whatever vaccine they like or dislike. We're not going to go there and fight and argue and be angry and feel wrath. and we're going to pray. We're going to ask, who am I? I'm a child of God, and I'll pray for this person. I'll pray for those people. I'll pray for this scenario, and I choose to be a peacemaker. All right? A day of peacemaking skill by Taming Breath. We love it. It's the way we're allowing our light to shine. And to exemplify what it feels, I have this fluffy little thing in front of my table that was left by Virginia. And this is how I feel as a reminder to be meek. To be meek. Trusting in God. Let's trust God. And practice peacemaking skills by taming anger and wrath. Thank you, friends, for joining us today together. Yay! Joining us in one more chapter of the book, The Spirit of Truth. We're very grateful to André Luiz. Thank you, André Luiz. Thank you, Chico, Xavier, Waldo, Vieira, and the loving superior spirits who coordinated everything so we could be here today sharing this lesson that is very transformative. A big hug to you. See you tomorrow, God willing.